Hopefully I'll be able to get it.
This is private property, right?
No, I didn't.
Get the camera out of my face. Last person you want on this property, they didn't make it back. I'm not gonna lie. So, dude, you need to get off now.
Chill.
Get off.
Chill.
Oh, heck no.
He just was staring at me, and I wasn't.
On March 22nd, 2025, Owen from the YouTube channel Exploring with Owen set out to look through a collection of run-down barns sitting deep in the woods. What he walked into had nothing to do with the paranormal and turned out to be more intense than anything he had planned for.
Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today I'm going to be exploring these two abandoned barns behind me. These aren't any ordinary barns either. There's a crazy backstory behind what happened at these barns. All right, so basically these barns, first of all, are in the middle of absolutely nowhere. I'm literally in the middle of the woods. So basically what happened is back in the 1990s, a person was snowshoeing around this area and they heard screaming coming from over the hill. I'm pretty sure it's like this hill right here somewhere. And so they came down to check it out and they heard that it was coming from inside the barn. And so they went inside the barn and looked, and there was 4 people tied up. And those 4 people were also on the missing list for this area at the same time. So we're assuming there was some sort of kidnapper involved in this whole thing. But anyways, we're about to explore these barns.
Owen pushed ahead with the exploration, with no idea what was waiting for him inside.
Also kind of just like wood, like not... Something falling? That creeped me out. I'm leaving though. I'm leaving this barn. Oh, what was that? There was like a giant bang. That had to pick up on camera for sure. I'm pretty sure during my reconnaissance earlier, I did see a little like sliding door around the back, so hopefully I'll be able to get it.
This is private property, right?
No, I didn't.
Go.
I'm sorry.
Get the camera out of my face. This is private property.
No, I'll turn it off.
Oh my gosh. Last person you want on this property. They didn't make it back. I'm not gonna lie. So, dude, you need to get off now.
Hey, chill, bro.
Dude.
Chill.
Get off.
Yo, chill. Yo,
Go.
stop scaring
Go.
us, dude, bro. Yo, what the heck? Yo, holy crap.
Here are they? Found you.
Dude, this guy's insane. What the heck?
Get out of the barn.
This guy's insane.
Get out of
I'm sorry, bro. It's just you're scaring me. When you like...
Get out of the barn.
Okay, I'm sorry. Holy crap. Just chill, bro. Just chill.
Get out.
I'm going. What's going on?
An older man appeared, visibly agitated, and got straight to the point. He claimed the property was his and made it obvious that Owen had no business being there. The man's demeanor left little room for discussion. Getting off that property and doing it quickly was the only sensible move.
You good, bro? Like...
Unless you want to go missing. Leave.
What'd you just say?
Leave.
Dude, chill. Holy crap, dude. I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't break anything.
Leave.
Oh.
I told you to stop. Phil.
Holy crap. Stop. Yo, bro, stop.
Go.
No. Yo, this guy's insane. What? Bro, what? Bro, he had a pitchfork. What? Dude, this guy's crazy. I've never seen something like that before. Yo, he literally said, you don't want to go missing like the others. Bro, my face is so cold, I can't even talk. I'm so like numb. I don't know if it's cold or fear or both. But oh my goodness. You think that was the kidnapper? I'm probably gonna blur his face just for privacy, but like, bro, that is insane. Holy crap, dude.
The man's remark about people going missing in the area was hard to brush off, though it may well have been nothing more than a tactic to push Owen out faster. Either way, Owen put distance between himself and the property, wrapped up the exploration, and made it home without incident. It was the kind of encounter that doesn't leave you in a hurry. Tommy is an outdoor enthusiast, running a YouTube channel called Tommy Dial, where he documents building a cabin in the woods and camping through all kinds of weather. His content is usually easygoing and low-key. But this time, he decided to take his family up to spend a night in an abandoned watchtower high in the mountains. He had no idea the night ahead would shake him the way it did.
Well, we ran into a slight problem already. Just started to turn onto this trail to go up the mountain, and there is a tree blocking this. Don't know how long this has been here.
Hi.
I just gotta get out of the way. As long as I can clear this right here so we can get by, that'll be good, but this is all in the way. And it's wet and nasty. Oh, Lord. Come on. Alright, passage unlocked. I'm gonna move a lot of these little sticks because these right here is tire popping material.
After almost 8 hours, we had arrived.
Alright, folks. I'm gonna walk up this lookout tower for a bit here. I don't know how high I'm gonna go, but we're gonna go up a little ways. Because should be a good view. Let's see. Not ideal. These ones are in there, though. Oh, this is so stupid. Wow, the wind.
The original plan was to camp inside the watchtower itself, but once they got there, it was clear the structure was too old and too unstable to trust. They had to rethink everything on the spot, and that's right around the time things started to feel wrong.
The three of us are officially squared away after a long and exhilarating day, but it was a ton of fun. So we're going to get some good sleep tonight, and we will see you guys in the morning for coffee.
Now that sounded like a really good plan. When we laid down to go to sleep, it was approaching 10 o'clock, and I was looking forward to it because we had had such a long day. For some reason, I just had a really interesting feeling in my stomach, and I couldn't fall asleep no matter what. So while Sarah and Levi were sound asleep, I laid there for hours. And at around 12:07, something odd happened. I heard a car come flying down the road and into the parking lot where we parked so we could set up camp, and we were the only ones parked there. Kinda strange. Now at first, I was just thinking, maybe this is just some kids being kids. No big deal, right? Well, then the car slammed into a tree and took off speeding the other direction before eventually coming to a stop about 50 yards from our tent. And this big dude gets out of the car. He was clearly drunk out of his mind and had no idea what he was doing. At this point, I got out of the tent and just sat in the darkness and kept my eye on him, because last thing I wanted was him to come stumbling over to where we were. I even called the park rangers. They said that they would send somebody out, but they never did. Now about an hour had passed since this all initially happened, and it was approaching 1:30. He had been quiet for almost an hour after initially causing a lot of ruckus. I eventually got back in the tent and tried to convince myself, just go to sleep, everything's alright. But I just couldn't bring myself to do it, and I knew that there were storms on the horizon rolling into town. Now my fear was that for some reason, when those storms hit, he was going to get up and start wandering around. I don't know why, but that's just what I felt, and I couldn't shake the feeling.
Hours went by as he watched the man, waiting for him to move on. The rain had started to come down, but the man didn't budge. That uneasy feeling became impossible to ignore. so Tommy woke his family, and they moved quickly, packing up their gear and loading the truck without drawing attention. They thought the hard part was over. Then the thing Tommy had been dreading most actually happened.
What I had feared all along finally happened. It's 3 a.m. I'm looking over some of the footage that I had just captured that day, that you guys just watched. And when all of a sudden, Sarah just said my name, I looked up, and he was standing directly in front of our truck, in the pouring rain, in the hail, just standing there. Now, he would have had to have walked right by where we were camping, and who knows what could have happened. He could have rummaged into our tent, and it could have turned into a really bad situation, but thankfully, at this point, we're inside of our truck. Now, he eventually walks by our truck, and I peel out of there and just drive up to the top of the camp where there's a rest station and bathrooms.
Keep recording.
Where?
Just end it.
Oh, heck no.
This is exactly why trusting your instincts matters. There's no telling how that night could have ended if Tommy hadn't listened to that feeling and acted on it when he did. They got out without anyone being hurt, and whatever that man's intentions were, they were never made clear. This encounter comes from Grizzly Gaz, a channel where Gaz documents his wild camping and van camping trips, backpacking adventures, and remote explorations, often weaving in the local history and folklore tied to the places he visits. He's an outdoorsman with a genuine love for nature and the outdoors, and he regularly brings his dog Fendi along for the journey. On March 8th, 2026, Gaz headed out on another wild camping trip, this time high up in the remote moors, a stretch of land with deep roots in ancient pagan history and old folklore. The location was well away from civilization and any trace of everyday life. What started as a calm, peaceful night out would soon become yet another unsettling chapter for him.
Look at it. Glorious, isn't it? Oh my word. Where are you off? We're going up this way. Come on. You alright? You're struggling, aren't you already, kid? And I think one of those stones up there is called the Sphinx. Or I could just be making all this up. You never know, do you? Look at her. Loving life, aren't you, mate? No. Go on. If you know, you know. Yeah, these are alright, look. What you see? The only thing I'm worried about is other people's dogs. Here we go, look. The staple of every wild camper's diet. Whoop. Steady on, Gaz, steady on. Ooh, that little treats. Mmm. Yummy nums. There she is, look. Don't you look bonny? I've dyed this one as well, like my other one. It was like a grey colour before, but well, it still looks grey. It is more of a like a olive greeny colour. Look at that.
As darkness settled fully over the forest, Gaz made his way inside his tent to rest. The night had gone quiet, then something pulled his attention.
Can you hear that? What is that? Hear that? Look, 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 look. It's probably a train in distance. People still out walking dogs and that.
At first, he picked up the faint sound of wind chimes drifting through the trees. He looked outside and spotted 2 people climbing the hill with a dog. He figured the sound had come from them, put it out of his mind, and went back inside, assuming they were just passing through and had no interest in him. A few minutes later, something outside the tent caught his attention again. This time, it was closer. Whatever it was right at the edge of the campsite.
They just stood outside my tent talking. Fuck. Mate, it's nearly 10:30 at night.
He began hearing movement just outside, then voices, more than one, talking directly outside his tent. He stayed still and listened hard, but couldn't pull a single word from it. The voices were low and unclear, but there was no question about how close they were. What unsettled him more was the realization that this was the second time someone had come near the tent, almost as though they were making a circuit around the campsite. Gaz decided against confronting them and kept quiet. Eventually, the voices trailed off and the forest went still again. He managed to fall asleep.
It's 20 to 4 in the morning. And I can hear that. Well, I've been hearing like screams. It's really weird. I don't know if it's some sort of bird or if it's actually someone screaming. It's far away, like. I'm too tired for this, man. Well, as long as it don't get closer, I'll be alright. Well, it's 4:15 now, and I can't get back to sleep. Look how cold it is.
Gaz later said he also heard screaming at some point during the night, though none of it was picked up on camera. Around the same time, faint clacking sounds could be heard just outside the tent. He had come out here expecting a quiet trip. Instead, the night had slowly wound itself into something tense and hard to shake. The people he had first spotted were up on the hill, yet they kept coming back, drifting closer to the campsite each time, appearing to loop around his tent. That raised an uncomfortable question. Why would anyone keep returning to a lone campsite in the middle of the night? Bad intentions were one possible answer, though not the only one. But given the setting, the whole thing felt wrong. This wasn't a spot you stumbled across by accident. The area was remote, the terrain was a real climb, and nobody was casually wandering up there around midnight. The simple fact of strangers hovering near your tent in that kind of isolation is enough to put anyone on edge. What made it harder to dismiss were the screams Gaz described, sounds that never made it onto the recording. Whether they had anything to do with those people or came from something else altogether, there's no way to know. Whatever brought them out there that night, their behavior didn't have a straightforward explanation. In places like this, what reads as harmless at first glance can shift fast. Out in truly isolated areas, the most unpredictable danger isn't usually wildlife. More often, it's other people. Crimes happen in remote locations precisely because there are no witnesses, no easy way to call for help, and nothing to put on record. Gaz walked away from that night without harm. But what those people wanted and what was really out there in those moors, nobody knows. Meet Daniel Mercer, the creator behind the YouTube channel Creepy Travels. His videos document overnight stays in remote wilderness locations that locals tend to describe as dangerous, abandoned, or connected to strange encounters. On November 17, 2025, Daniel traveled deep into a secluded lakeside location tucked within forested mountains somewhere in the United States. According to locals, the area had built up a reputation over the years, not just for unusual sightings in the surrounding woods, but for criminal activity that rarely drew police attention simply because of how hard the place was to reach. Daniel knew all of this going in. He spent the night there alone anyway.
This is a sketchy place. There's actually 4 places that I go film because usually something is seen. It's a hard decision on this place and then that place up deep in the mountains, miles and miles out of 4-wheel drive road. That has witch symbols hanging all in the trees at a spot that everybody has sightings of different things. I'll do a video. I don't want to talk too much about it until I do a video with y'all. This place is miles out, secluded.
He arrived late in the evening, and the place had an uneasy quality to it from the start. It sat deep in the mountains, well off any normal traffic route, hemmed in by dense trees and a quiet stretch of lake shoreline. What made it harder to shake was the history attached to it. Years earlier, a body had reportedly been found somewhere near the old boat ramp, not far from where Daniel intended to camp. Authorities had ruled the death was not from natural causes, and ever since, the locals had given the surrounding woods a wide berth.
That was eye shine. I just heard like somebody's watch. That was weird. That was weird. And there goes those footsteps that you hear walking behind you. Yeah. I've got chicken bumps all over me. Not goosebumps, but chicken bumps.
As darkness closed in around the lake, Daniel started picking up movement in the distance. At first, it was barely anything. Small sounds, leaves shifting somewhere past the tree line, but they kept coming back. At one point, he caught what looked like eye shine reflecting faintly through the woods, visible to him in the dark, but too far out for the camera to pick up clearly. The longer he stood there listening, the less it felt like something passing through. It felt like something making its way around him.
I've seen so many things in here. So big of an uneasy feeling. So many shadow bastards. I've had to run out of here before. I don't want to do this. Can't believe I'm going to sleep here tonight again. It just has that feeling that you're going to turn around and something's going to be there. Look at this. 1832.
Moving deeper into the woods only made it worse. The feeling of being watched tightened, and something about the area felt genuinely wrong in a way he couldn't talk himself out of. Alone out there, with panic beginning to build, he made the decision to sleep in his car, trading the open forest for whatever security four walls and a locked door could offer. But what happened inside the vehicle that night made him question whether he was actually any safer.
Somebody was trying to get in my Bronco.
At some point, after drifting off, the stillness broke, movement outside the vehicle, then a series of knocking sounds cutting through the dark. Then the car began to shake, hard, jolting him awake. Something, or someone, was right outside and was trying to get a door open. He grabbed his camera and got out to look. The clearing was empty. No footprints, no lights. Nothing to suggest anything had been there at all. The forest had gone completely silent. The night eventually settled back into a kind of quiet, but it was the kind of quiet that didn't feel clean. Every shadow between the trees seemed to shift. Every sound from the leaves felt like something to pay attention to. The eyeshine he had seen earlier, was that just an animal or something that had stayed with him, tracking him through the dark? The knocking was still fresh in his mind. The shaking of the vehicle hadn't left him. If something had been following him from the start, tracing each step he took through those trees, what would have happened if he had set up a tent instead, out in the open with nothing around him? Even now, well away from that lake and back in familiar surroundings, the place hasn't fully let go. Every shadow, every faint sound after dark, pulls the same questions back to the surface. What was actually out there that night? Was it a person or something else? And the one that lingers longest, if it was watching then, is it still out there somewhere, waiting for the next person who wanders in alone? The camera was rolling for most of it, but a lot of what Daniel experienced that night never made it onto the footage. That's where the real weight of it sits, in the moments that couldn't be recorded. The sense that the wilderness itself can observe you, follow you, and push against you in ways you aren't prepared for. And sometimes the encounters that stay with you the longest aren't the ones you saw coming. They're the ones you felt, knowing something was just past the edge of what you could see, watching, and never once showing itself. This video of tonight comes from Strange Days Diaries, a solo van life travel vlog documenting day-to-day life on the road in a 1990s Chevy Astro van. The creator shares quiet coastal camps, road trips, daily routines, and candid reflections on what it actually looks like to travel alone, including the occasional moment where safety becomes a real concern. It is April 30th, 2024, somewhere along the coast of California.
Hi, I'm Asia, and welcome back to the Strange Days Diaries, and welcome to a complete day off with me in my 1990 Chevy Astro van named Spec. This is going to be a really general, typical day off in my van, and I'm going to bring you along with me. I have some errands I have to run, some tasks I have to do, and I'm also planning on going to one of my favorite spots to spend an entire day off at. It's on the coast in California.
She starts her day running errands in the van before making her way to one of her favorite coastal viewpoints, a spot she knows well, where she plans to cook breakfast, unwind, and spend the day taking in the scenery. Driving past a McDonald's nearby, she briefly locks eyes with a man walking out of the car park. Not long after, she notices what looks like the same vehicle sitting behind her on the quiet road leading out to the coastal viewpoint where she usually parks.
I don't know what just happened, but basically I just pulled into this spot. I love it. And as I pull up to this spot, I pass by a McDonald's. It's like, I don't know, a mile away from this spot is a McDonald's, or like 2 miles. As I'm driving by the McDonald's, I made eye contact with somebody who was pulling out of the McDonald's. I didn't mean to, but I guess I did. And I saw him just make eye contact with me and zoom behind me and follow me. And he followed me all the way up here.
When she reaches the dead end, where she typically turns around and settles in, the blue car is still behind her. After she parks the van, the driver pulls up close, appears to look directly toward her vehicle for a moment, then abruptly drives off. The whole thing lasts only a short while, but it leaves her unsettled, particularly given how quiet and out of the way this spot normally is.
So something I noticed as I'm cooking is the creepy guy in the blue car is back. So that sucks. I hope that it's nothing and that I'm just being really sensitive, but I feel like it's something.
As her morning routine carries on, she realizes the man has been sitting in the car the entire time. Through cooking, cleaning, and sorting things inside the van, he hasn't moved. At certain points, his hand appears to be raised, enough to make her wonder whether he's holding something or possibly pointing a camera in her direction.
And number 2, I am still a little sketched out by that guy that followed me earlier, and it's just been on my mind all day. It wasn't anything insane, obviously, but I don't know if he's still lurking around or if he came back and I didn't notice, that kind of thing. And I just don't feel the comfiest leaving my van and going on a super long walk or hike way out of eyesight of my van right now.
As the day starts to wind down, she mentions she may head out earlier than planned, just in case he comes back. She decides to go with her gut on this one. What was supposed to be a relaxed day by the water turns into something else after that encounter. The man eventually leaves and nothing escalates, but the experience is a straightforward reminder of what solo travel can sometimes look like, particularly in quiet or remote locations. Staying alert and listening to your instincts isn't paranoia. Sometimes it's just the most practical thing you can do. If you enjoyed our video, then like and comment which encounter was the most disturbing, and subscribe our channel for more disturbing content.